do you walk away with today? Do you feel like this is a missed opportunity here? What's your emotion?
Obviously, I love our guys. They fight their tails off, but I think I speak for everyone in that we missed an out. We're going to see these guys again, so.
What makes you say that?
I just think we are.
So you're pretty confident in the fight offer?
I think our team is good enough. We got to, obviously it's week to week, but we got a good football team.
That was one of those comments where when you read it the first time, you're thinking, well, yeah, you play him twice a year. But then you see it again, you listen to it, it's like, nah, he's calling his shot in a very understated way. Robert Saleh, coach of the Jets, and I think he knows how to use that podium to send messages to his players. Remember, it was back early in the season where he said, go ahead and say what you want. We're keeping the receipts. That was done to motivate his guys. Oh, and it worked. This, right now, pick them up out of the dumps. They've lost a couple in a row. They're struggling. They have to be thinking maybe we aren't good enough to make it to the playoffs. We don't know who our quarterback's going to be. Mike White has to go to the hospital to get his ribs checked out. Would it be Zach Wilson? Would it be Joe Flacco? If he can't play, who knows? Either way, the coach thinks we're going to see the Bills again. That's a very muted and understated kick in the ass by the coach. I like it. Even though they lost the game, I like the way Saleh handled that moment. How about you?
I did too. And if Saleh had not done the thing earlier in the season where he said, we're keeping the receipts, and then I hadn't seen it work. And also when he starts talking about how the offense is dog S, and then, the next week they put in Mike White and things start going a little bit better, then I also might be like, But when Robert Saleh has used the podium in that way this year, it's worked. So sometimes you just have to know exactly the right buttons to push, and that is the job of the head coach. And so far, what he's done has worked. So, I don't blame him for saying what he said there. And frankly, I think that the Jets are good enough to compete and also play the Buffalo Bills again in some ways like the Patriots were last year, right? But will they get their doors blown off if they see them again in the playoffs? I don't know. But I liked what Robert Saleh did there. I did.
Yeah, and same thing happened to the Patriots last year. They won round one, lost round two, and lost by 30 when they got together in the wild card round. Mm-hmm. But it probably wouldn't be a wild card round rematch this time because the Bills are on track to be the 1 seed. They just have to keep winning because they hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Both teams are 10-3. The Bills keep winning. The Bills end up being the number 1 seed. I think it's going to come down to Week 17, Monday Night Football, the last Monday night game of the year, Bills at Bengals. Not that the Bengals will be the 1 seed if they win because they need to gain ground on the Chiefs, but if the Bengals beat the Bills, that could deliver it for the Kansas City Chiefs. For now, though, the Bills deliver their 4th straight victory. They haven't lost since that day Minnesota came to town and got the wild one in overtime. 4 straight. Josh Allen, not a tremendous day statistically, but he did enough and created a few highlights. He had kind of a midair, whatever that was, flipping around a Dawson Knox into the end zone on a over-the-top crazy roller coaster thing. Here's the Josh Allen run. Woo! Where I always get nervous when this happens, but he finds a way to get up and keep going. It helps to be 6'7", but at some point it's the same bone and ligament and cartilage that everyone else has, and he could have gotten hurt coming down on that left leg, but it was a great day for him. Not spectacular again. The Jets defense is better than they get credit for. Mike White was a guy who drew praise from Greg Rousseau after the game, even though they lost to Zach Wilson and beat Mike White. A lot of the stuff you hear from Jets players, the Bills defense was saying about Mike White, makes big throws, fierce competitor, kept coming back, went to the hospital, got checked out. We don't know what his status is going to be for this week. It really does create a decision for the Jets. If they don't start Zach Wilson, if Mike White can't play, if they go with Joe Flacco instead, are we really to believe that this is just a timeout, a double secret probation for Zach Wilson, or are we to believe they're done with him? If the season's on the line and Mike White's out, and we don't know at this point, but they're guarding the information. They don't have to tell us anything until Wednesday in their first injury report. But boy, it'll be weird if Wilson doesn't get installed as the starter. Won't it, Myles?
Yeah, it would certainly be weird. But look, I don't know what they would want to do. Do they feel like the timeout has been enough for Zach Wilson, or are they still blinded by Mike White? because I think that they should be with the way that Mike White is playing. I mean, I think you can't help but love the toughness that Mike White is exhibiting, right? When he gets crushed a couple of times, has to miss a couple plays once, then has to miss some more later on in the game, and then comes back. I mean, he is showing a lot of toughness, and he's showing an ability to make throws. And when he comes back and he throws a dime on 3rd and 10, and it's a deep out, right? Those are hard throws to make usually. But especially when you're coming back and you're a little bit colder off of an injury, that I think says a lot about the way that he can play. So, I mean, I don't know if you would rather have the veteran or the younger quarterback if you are in must-win situations. If it's me, I might want to go with Joe Flacco, but I don't know. I really don't know. It depends on what they're seeing internally from Zach Wilson.
And that's really the key. How's he responding to this extended period, 3 games now, of being not just on the bench, but not even in uniform? He looked like the Gorton's fisherman yesterday on the sidelines in his rain gear watching that game. I mean, first he's got to be back, in the active roster before you consider him the replacement. The indications, as they currently are, is that Flacco is number 2. It's one thing to be game day number 2. It's another thing to be the starter if we know the number 1 guy is out. And I'm just saying, if Mike White is out and Zach Wilson isn't put back in as the starter, I think that tells us that maybe this is more than just a short-term reset button, timeout, we'll put him back on the field at some point this year type of a thing.
Yes.
All right. Also, Quinnen Williams, the great Jets defensive lineman, is day-to-day with a calf injury. It happened on a non-contact basis in the first half, so we'll be checking the injury reports this week for more information on him. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.